Before we begin, I just want to let you know this a video I started off recording all the way back in January, and I put it off for such a long time, but I've been wanting to put out a review for Babylon. It was a movie that I watched many times over, and I really liked it. I just wanted to get it right the first time. I hope I did as best as I could, but either way, I hope that you still enjoy the video. And you can always tell me what I can improve in the future. I am looking to try to cut down on the amount of material so that I can get it out with as much quality as I can with as much time. So I'm working on the time optimization thing, but at the end of the day, I wanted to put it out there so I can actually go out and just share my thoughts with you on Babylon. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the video and hang loose. Hey everyone, Long here. And first off, I just want to wish you all a happy new year. I hope that 2026 has been treating you well so far. It is the third day of the year when it's finally started. But yeah, most certainly, I hope that this year treats you much better than it did in 2025. Whether or not you had an amazing time, or or if you had a rough go at it. So my hope is that you will thrive in the new year, and I hope the same for me as well. But anyway, so I started off in the new year with this with this haircut, and I wanted to try something new here. So definitely a far cry from what I was before, but like last year. So which is what my hair uh, used to look like a lot. So now I'm actually yeah, got a little slicked, got some little parts here to kind of guide where my hair is at, and so I hope people enjoy it. So, but yeah, let's talk about a movie that I have been wanting to talk about for such a long time. But needless to say, I very much enjoyed Babylon despite all of its flaws. The best way I can actually sum up Babylon is that the parts in the movie were significantly greater than the sum of them themselves. Now, if that doesn't make sense to you, it was because the movie was just completely uneven in terms of its tone. It is very difficult to get an ensemble movie right, but typically Damien Chazelle has had many great successes, including La La Land, which I very much enjoyed. I'm sure there were a couple of other movies that he made that I really liked, but but they're not coming to mind right now. So that's the one that comes to mind the most. So, but yeah, I wanted to talk about this because Babylon kind of spoke to me in the terms of yeah, having some kind of an idealized in a view of what what it's like to make movies in Hollywood back in that time. I think that the movie took place what was it, the 40s, the 50s, but anyway, it came at a time where everything was starting to emerge, and how everyone's looking at moving pictures, and how people were injecting many ideals like morality and sexuality. Yeah, so so many themes that we were not privy to as young kids, and then as we grow up to become adults, we become fascinated with hey, that was pretty cool what we saw, and then now I want to go ahead and make my own movie. Now, me personally, I never had the pleasure of starring in anything, but I got to be a background player for my play. Back in high school, I was a dance. I got to waltz in The Sound of Music during the ballroom scene. So that was the extent of my my acting chops. And then I also got to be in a rock band commercial. So for a very very brief moment, and I was there for 6 hours, only to be squeezed in a split second during a sequence, which was kind of interesting. But that's it. That's going to be for another story. But anyway, let's getting back to it. Basically, bottom line is that I really was very much fascinated about movies and wanted to have a career in at least critiquing movies, because I saw that there were so many really cool people who had a lot of like different opinions about like how movies were. And just seeing and then like and seeing Babylon just kind of harkened me back to the days where I wanted to be in the business for such a long time. But I mean, like, I don't think like my time has passed. I certainly am like doing other things for a living to make my living, and like and just try to keep the lights on and everything. So, um, but like if someday I were to be able to get into the movie industry, um, whether it's like critiquing TV shows or movies, I would totally do it. But otherwise, I'm just having a great time like dancing on my channel, and then just kind of rambling about like this right now. So yeah, but anyway, yeah, I know like yeah, so overly long introduction. I'll be sure to like put in timestamps into this video so that you can skip around if you unless you actually are interested in those particular areas. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started with Babylon. So which is basically like a movie, which is basically about like the movie business in that time period where everything seemed innocent, everything seemed magical, and it was just like it was really cool. So anyway, I'm looking at some like articles here, and the movie actually starts in 1926 in Bel Air, California, which is where like these where like these particular film studios were actually take place in, and it covers 1926 to 1952. So so that's that. Otherwise, I actually do remember the movie pretty reasonably well to like kind of talk about it, which is it's a very mixed bag. I will and as I said earlier in this video, the parts in the movie are significantly greater than the sum of its parts. And my thesis to this is that this movie had a lot of ambition going for it, much like much like the Hollywood it did its best to like portray, but then ended up like having so many different ideas going in different directions that there wasn't really one unifying theme going about it. And I know that it tried its best to revere like the art of making movies, but then eventually loses itself by putting in too many different ideas all at once, and it really starts to lose focus. And by like the end of the second act, you really lose a lot of focus in this movie. So so yeah, but anyway, let's go ahead and just give you a rundown on what Babylon is about. It actually like it actually like tries to like unify this theme across like 6 different perspectives. You have the veteran silent movie actor who was brilliantly portrayed by Brad Pitt. You have the very beautiful like Margot Robbie. She is Nellie Leroy. And then you also have Diego Calva. He is basically the everyman. He seeks out to strike it big in the movie business. So basically, he's chasing the American dream. He's essentially the everyman that the movie tries itself to center around. And then you have the other 3 principal players. You have Jean Smart. She portrays Eleanor St. John, cultural critic. She tells all about like Hollywood and the trends, and then like and she picks up on those, and she has to like keep up with it before like or as part of like the as one of the cogs in Hollywood. You also have Jovan Adepo, who is Sidney Palmer, and he is a black black trumpeter, and his skin color becomes very important over the period that the movie covers. You have Lady Fei Zhu. She is a lesbian, and she is played by Lee Jun Lee. She is brilliant, and I really enjoyed her performance back in Sinners. All 6 of these like principal actors are or essentially like portraying like the different aspects of what Hollywood is about, from like making the from filmmaking to like making the connections, to actually like trying to like gain social status in every which way they can. A lot of these guys don't really live really great lives. Some do, like Brad Pitt's Jack Conrad, who is the veteran, like like actor. He's basically the biggest paycheck. Question is that can he have a long lasting career that can survive the test of time? So his journey is portrayed very brilliantly, and also like he has his peaks and valleys, in that in this. Nellie Roy, she's basically the hot and sexy wild child, as you'll see, like shown in the movie. She's basically the sex symbol. She is the gal who is the rising star. And her star shines so brightly, but also she is quite reckless. And this was very indicative of many different like prolific actresses at that time when they were like exhibiting their sexuality. And no knock on female actresses too. I'm sure that they had various ranges of acting that would have won like Oscars, but in this particular case, no, not really. And then you have Diego Calva. I mean, I've never heard of this guy before, but whoever casted him actually did a pretty good job. He's a pretty cool dude. I would say, like, like he has basically the kinds of features that ladies would absolutely fall head over heels for. But at the same time, like, he's also that guy who is struggling to make it in Hollywood, and he eventually, and he has his own journey as well, going through like making a career in Hollywood. And so so his journey is very fascinating, but it's also really cool to see that his perspective is what puts us like in the commoner's shoes. Jovan Adepo, portraying Sidney Palmer very brilliantly. Great musician. I think that's him playing. I don't know much about. I don't know. It looks like that he is absolutely like killing it on the trumpet. So bravo to him if he isn't. But he too has quite a journey to go through as well. And then you have the other starving artist, which is Lee Jun, portrayed by Lee Jun Lee. Lady Fei Zhu. So she lives very she has a very high social standing, pretty high social standing in the Hollywood scene, but she also lives very humbly, as you'll see in the movie. So. And last but not least, Jean Smart. The first time I saw Jean Smart was in 24. She was basically the first lady during President Logan's presidency. But she's also a very tremendously great actress, and she plays a part really well here. I very much loved like her like how she like adapts like her role well, even though like the role asks her to put on a British accent, which I didn't necessarily buy, but she at least like portrays like the emotional like bits pretty dang well. So but that's basically the characters. So ultimately, these are the parts that actually like succeed really well in the movie. But unfortunately, like, those parts really don't come together well. I mean, they have a lot of great ideas, but they have a difficult time trying to convey what exactly is the point of Babylon. So, and Babylon does open up like in a rather lavish, in a very very like a hedonistic like party. Everyone's just basically like the sexual aura is off the charts in this. And then there's a lot of debauchery going on. People are like kind of are basically ODing at the parties. It's lavish, it's loud, but it's also like yeah, it's really grimy, but it's portrayed so well here. I think to me this was like probably the most elaborate like part of the movie that probably took a long time to shoot. But I don't know. I mean, I look, I'm basically someone from the outside looking in. I've never been in the film industry, but to me that looked pretty complex. It's like because there was a lot of coordination that goes with it. I mean, like even if it's like, yeah, some of the parts that like I'm not gonna show, but yeah. But anyway, go ahead and knock yourself out if you want to go see Babylon. So, which unfortunately not a lot of people watch because it was just so darn polarizing, and I don't know. I mean, like people say it wasn't a great idea to like release it on Christmas Day or whatever. Um, and then generally speaking, it just came the reception of that movie came down to the attitude towards Hollywood and its culture. Actors and actresses tend to be like very political. They are always loud and brash, and like, but for the most part, back in those days, back in those days, you really didn't know like what Hollywood was like because they didn't have social media at that time. Nobody was going on X or Twitter or like Threads, Blue Sky, you name it, to or Instagram. Let's just say Instagram. Nobody had that stuff. So the mystery behind Hollywood's actors and actresses and everyone who worked in that business was a mystery. But it was intriguing. That's why you had paparazzi and all that stuff. Maybe they still operate, but now you can track them pretty easily because some can resist the allure of getting their attention like every 5 minutes or 5 seconds or so. I don't know, but anyway, who am I to say? But ultimately, like the overall attitude towards like this particular subject just didn't really set well. I mean, like the reviews were ultimately found to be polarizing. Personally, I found the ideas portrayed to be very, very interesting. It just wasn't coherent. I didn't. I mean, like, so it's like one. It was like one theme was about trying to make it in Hollywood, and then all of a sudden like there's a lot of sex and debauchery. Not that I mind. I just find those subjects to be rather interesting, and I'm just an observer here. But then like there's some violence that gets shot here, and then pretty soon there's like it gets a little melancholy, and then all of a sudden at the very end, there's a theme that tries its best to tie it all together, but ultimately it just didn't work. I mean, like I did see like where there was going at the end, but all that doesn't like it's really not it's not cohesive enough to get me to like reinforce the idea that it was trying to portray at the very end. Babylon became is one of those movies where I just simply found to be rather fascinating. I just didn't really ultimately I gave it a lot of thought over and over and over again. I watched the movie many, many times, not just because I very much loved the subject, but I also enjoyed like the their mystery that I tried to portray about Hollywood. Maybe that's how it was. I don't know, but I just found the subject fascinating, and but also like I can see where people had issues with about being very self-indulgent. So, and I get that. I absolutely do. So, anyway, ultimately, do I think you should watch Babylon? The only way to like watch Babylon is if you have the time. It is on Paramount Plus. So if you're subscribed to that service, by all means go check it out on your free time. I don't think it's a must watch. I think it's just basically a fascinating thing to have like while you're getting stuff done. Yeah, but I do give a lot of props to the actors and particularly with Brad Pitt. I think like Brad Pitt very much stole the show on that. So I mean, like he's been doing movies for years, and